So we're up to the homage on page 15. When we think of the three wisdoms, the learning, understanding, study piece of it is fairly straightforward. It may be complicated in some ways, as it always is, but the process is straightforward. And at this point, after generating the visualization, and then we're coming to the place of Chenrezig is sitting on a lotus and moon seat on the crown of our heads, and all sentient beings extending to the limits of space, also with Chenrezig on the crown of their heads on a lotus and moon seat, everyone also surrounded by the Buddha Amitabha. And with some consistent practice and effort and deeper understanding of the practice, something can happen which cannot be easily understood. Something experiential. It's kind of in the form of, you go through the ritual and you follow the instructions, and you incorporate also the instructions which are not in the text, but you do all of that. And at some point, you have a very clear vision of Chenrezig. And for the moment, let us just make a projection that if indeed at that point you had the experience of Chenrezig actually on the crown of your head, even for a moment, that would be surprising. I don't mean that we should think of it as it should be surprising, but it would be surprising. And so here, the assumption is always the case that study and contemplation and meditation lead to that result. In other words, it's expected we will have that result. Having that result, reciting some kind of an homage to the presence of Chenrezig, which is nothing other than the presence of our own awakened mind and the presence of the awakened minds of all sentient beings, our growing understanding of that the milieu in which we engage in the practice leads us to the place where we want to recite an homage of some kind. And so the homage reads, Noble One, which is Chenrezig, of course, untainted by the mire. So we said earlier, Chenrezig comes into the world without being himself confused, not partaking of nor being affected by that confusion. So that's what they're calling the mire. Untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white, like we said before, like that's the not tainted by all of the activities of the body and the speech and the mind and things that bring about suffering for oneself and others. Perfect awakened one adorns your head. With eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow. So we recite that 3 times. And then we're going through the summary of this text. There are 2 parts to this text that you're looking at. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch of parts, but we'll divide it into 2 for the moment. The 2 parts are the root text, and then there's whatever the text is by virtue of whatever insertions have been made by qualified people, let's say. And and so we can do the longer text, which has numerous prayers and things in it, and we can also do the short one. So today, we're focusing on the short text because it's easier to give you a sense of what it is you're doing. Okay. So we got to the homage. We recited it 3 times. And then what we do is, in this case, you can continue everything from that point of the homage up until through page 30 is an insert. It's an extra piece. So go to page 31. Page 31 attaches immediately to where we left off at the homage. It says, by praying one pointedly in this manner. What it's really referring to is the homage. Light radiates from the body of the noble one, that is, light radiating from Chenrezig's body, 5-colored light, mostly white and pinkish red, but there's 5 colors. Red, blue, yellow, green, and white. So, by praying one pointedly in this manner, light radiates from the body of the noble one and purifies impure karma, appearance, and deluded mind. So what the visualization is here is you imagine that the light from Chenrezig's body strikes all sentient beings, all of those beings who are surmounted by Chenrezig and appearing in the form of Chenrezig by virtue of Chenrezig's light striking them, so all of the causes of suffering are removed. And the light continues to stream from Chenrezig for some time. In fact, one could sit for hours and just imagine the light streaming from Chenrezig's body, striking all sentient beings and purifying all of the causes of suffering into the causes of happiness. Sentient beings are then engaging in activities which are virtuous in the sense that those activities bring about the causes for happiness, for compassion, for loving kindness, for joy, all of these things. So we imagine that this has now happened, and it's also, we are one of those sentient beings, of course. So we imagine that we also appear in the form of Chenrezig, and that we are engaging in those activities by virtue of the practice of Chenrezig. So again, by praying one pointedly in this manner, light radiates from the body of the Noble One and purifies impure karma, appearance, and deluded mind. The outer environment becomes the realm of Dewa Chen, the body. The realm of Dewa Chen is kind of the world of Amitabha. So it's part of the tradition that Buddhas are part of what are called pure realms, or Buddha realms. They're realms in which the complete experience in those realms by all the beings in those realms, the experience is completely devoid of confusion and the causes of suffering. All of the experiences are in accordance with that inherently awakened mind. So therefore it says, the outer environment becomes the realm of Dewa Chen. The body, speech, and mind of the inhabitants become the exalted body, speech, and mind of the powerful Chenrezig. So these beings then, we imagine them as being in Amitabha's Pure Land, and so they naturally, by virtue of being there, are freed. Let's just say they very quickly accomplish the Dharma. They very quickly come to recognize the nature of their own awakened mind. And so, continuing, appearance, sound, and awareness are inseparable with emptiness. Now we can skip page 33, and we are now at the point of the mantra. So having come to this point, then we recite the mantra for a while, and I wanted to do something here. I'm thinking, is there time? I'll just make some time. So what we have done here is we have gone through what is called the development stage, which means the place at which we generate the visualization. So the visualization has now been generated. That we haven't really done that, but we've been kind of studying the method by which it's done, and I get that it's fast, but nonetheless, maybe seeds are being planted, and at that point then, we move into the final phase of dissolving all of the things that were created in the beginning, which is a ritual way of recognizing that none of those things existed in the first place, and neither did they have any inherent existence after we imagined that they were there. So the process then leads us to the end, and so we're going to go back to page 11. And we're going to step through the actual practice. So now there's an assumption here that you have studied it and you have contemplated it. And so you're beginning to have a relationship with the practice itself and the methods, but not yet very experientially. So at this point then we step into the water itself and begin to have that experience. We begin with what we always begin with, which is refuge and bodhicitta on page 11. So we're going to do this whole thing in English. We're going to recite page 11, starting with until enlightenment, and we'll recite to the bottom of page 11 3 times.
Until enlightenment,
I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. And page 12 and 12 through 14, we engage in the visualization as best as you can.
On the crown of
Myself and sentient beings, pervasive as space, is the lotus and moon seat. From the free appears the noble Chenrezig, clear, white, and radiating five-colored light. Smiling and gazing with compassionate eyes, the first pair of his forehands are joined together. The lower two holds a crystal mala and white lotus. Adorned with jewels and silk, he wears a deerskin upper garment.
his second ornament is
Tava, and his two legs sit in the Vajra asana. A stainless moon supports his back. He is the embodiment and essence of all refuge.
Noble one,
Untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion, your gaze beams. To Chenrezig we bow. Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With eyes of compassion, you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow.
noble one,
Untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion, you gaze upon beings. To Chenrezig we bow. Then we're on page 31. So we'll recite this page together.
by praying
One-pointedly in this manner, light radiates from the body of the Noble One and purifies impure karma, appearance, and deluded mind. The outer appearance becomes the realm of Chenrezig. The body, speech, and mind of the inhabitants become the body, speech, mind of Chenrezig. Appearance, sound, and awareness are inseparable with emptiness. So now we come to the point where we recite the mantra. And during the mantra there are many things that one can do and few things that one should do. There are a number of visualizations and things that can be done during the mantra. Generally speaking, during a single session, you pick one of those and do it. So one of them is just using the faculty of your ability to hear sound. You listen to the sound of the mantra as it occurs from your own mouth and from everybody else's. And when you hear a plane fly over, or a car, or children in the street, whatever, you also think of that as the sound of the mantra. So we're really at this point now training ourselves to hear all sounds as sounds of the mantra, even unpleasant sounds, sound of the mantra. So we'll engage in reciting the mantra together a bit, and we'll start by, can be sung for a while, so let's sing it for a little bit and then we'll just recite the mantra. And when the singing stops and we just recite the mantra should be recited somewhat quickly. Normally it's about this fast. Om mani padme hum, om mani padme hum, om mani padme hum. Some will be slower or quicker, but generally speaking, we'll recite it together like that after we've recited it as a song for a little bit.
Om mani padme hum.
Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum. Mani padme hum, mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, mani padme hum. Also, you can imagine the sound of the mantra being recited by all sentient beings. Mani Padme Hum, 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 During the recitation of the mantra, we were meant to imagine that we are partaking of being in Amitabha's Pure Land. Following the mantra, then we rest our awareness a bit and imagine that we are surrounded, again to the very limits of space, with Chenrezig, all beings appearing as Chenrezig, including ourselves, and the outer environment, which is the illusory world of Dewa Chen, begins to dissolve, and it dissolves into all of the forms of Chenrezig. One by one, faster and faster, until the entire outer environment is gone. All of the mountains, the seashores, the galaxies, all all dissolved into the Chenrezig. And we also continue in the form of Chenrezig. And then we imagine that all of the Chenrezigs begin to dissolve into us. Into each other and then into us. And gradually it comes to pass that all are dissolved. All of the Chenrezigs have dissolved into our own form, which is Chenrezig. And then gradually we imagine in our heart, kind of in our chest, equidistant between the front and the back, we call that the heart place. In our heart we imagine a lotus and moon seat again, and the letter Hri. And then our body begins to dissolve from the feet up and from the crown of our head down. We are still surmounted by the Buddha Amitabha, and now we imagine all of that dissolving from the top down and the feet up. And finally, it all dissolves into that Hri standing on the lotus and moon seat. And the lotus and moon seat dissolves, and all that's left is the Hri. And the Hri begins to dissolve, getting smaller and thinner, gradually getting smaller and brighter, until finally there is only a point of light. And we rest our awareness on that point of light for just a few moments, and then the point of light itself dissolves. And at that moment we're meant to rest completely in the nature of mind itself, relaxed, without even the slightest agenda of any kind. Then as we emerge from that state of complete dissolution, we read the instructions on page 33 at the top, where it says, the apparitional bodies, and you can read this with me. The apparitional bodies of myself and others are the body of the Noble One. Sounds are the melody of the 6 syllables. Thought and memory are waves of great intrinsic awareness. By this virtue may I quickly accomplish the state of powerful Chenrezig and establish all beings without exception on that level. And now on page 35, there is another dedication which we'll recite. Through the reciting and meditating, may I and every being to whom I am connected, as soon as these impure realms are left behind, be miraculously born in Dewa-Chen. Immediately then, having thoroughly traversed the 10 levels, may we benefit others with emanations in the 10 directions. By this virtue, may all beings perfect the accumulation of merit and wisdom, and arising from merit and wisdom, attain to sacred bodies. Bodhicitta is precious. May it arise in whom it has not arisen. Once arisen, may it ever grow and flourish. So it's time for our lunch break. Are there a couple of people, 3 people who are signed up to put the lunch out? Yes?
There's one.
You need help?
Yeah, there's enough, because we've got pinch hitters, we're all right.
We're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the only thing you need to know is
The food's good.
We have a couple of announcements.
yeah, there's a couple of announcements. I just want to say, if you're not familiar with his routine, we don't go in the kitchen while they're setting the food up until they tell us it's okay to do that.
Eric, today. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the death and dying?
Yeah, let people know.
Well, I have mixed feelings
Because
about
it's
it.
continuing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a secret.
Well, actually, Hogan Bays made me promise, Michael, to tell you. He wanted you and Tara specifically to know that there's a death and dying seminar which starts today at 3:30. That'll be each of the next 8 Sundays from 3:30 to 5:30 at Heart of Wisdom Zen Temple. There's a flyer up on the board there, and it's being co-led by Chosen Bays, Roshi, who's one of the heads of Zen Community of Oregon, and myself, Eric. And it's there's sort of a practical kind of advanced care planning aspect to it. There's sort of a practice aspect to it on death and impermanence, and then there's discussion. So that'll be the next 8 Sundays from 3:30 to 5:30.
And if a person can only come to some,
Oh yeah,
how
well,
would that work?
so far I haven't met anybody, including myself, who can come to all of them. So we assume that not everybody will come to all 8, and Chosen can't come to All Light. So we're trying to make it work. Even if you can't make all of them, please feel welcome.
And then this next week on Friday evening is the young adult people's group this Friday evening. So if you think you're a young adult and you want to come for Friday fun, it sounds like they have fun down here. Please look on the website for more about that. And we have started the mind training group, and we are expanding beyond the 7-point mind training, although still including that. So that's a lively group on second and fourth Thursdays here in the evenings. And again, it's a group where you can drop in. You don't have to have the text even. You don't have to know anything. Just come, and each time is a discrete learning, but it's very profound. So, and fun, very fun. So please join when you can. Anything else that anyone knows about?
On Saturday, I'm doing
what we're doing.
I'm doing a teaching on the mandala practice in Nundro, and that's from 9 to 12 this coming Saturday.
For work party out at
I don't know
SCOL,
anything about it.
October 14.
Can you say it loud?
Yeah. So the retreat land is having, out at SCOL is having a work party, and they would like people to come out, and they have various things to do inside and outside. So they're preparing for winter. So if you're interested in doing that, I guess you could let me know, but Abby also put it on the email list, so yeah, I'd be happy to give you instructions on that too. I'm Linda. And that's October 14th, that Saturday, starting at 10.
Starting at 10 out there.
Out there,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Leave town at
leave about 7:30 or 8 from here.
Yeah.
Well,